Mm-hmm.
It's not some board of, some archon sitting at a boardroom table.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's being run, there may be entities of some kinds, but it's being run essentially by an artificial intelligence.
Mm.
If we're inside a quantum computational system, that is being at least managed by some super AI, which already exists. I mean, it pre-exists us. What I argue in Closer Encounters and in other books of mine is that this artificial intelligence that's managing our simulacrum has a problem with these Nordics that have established this control system. It sees these Nordics as having set up an evolutionary bottleneck that human evolution, especially social and psychological evolution of mankind, has been choked off and suffocated by these overlords who, are on some kind of narcissistic, sadistic power trip, like the leadership of any number of empires we've seen throughout the course of history, just on a smaller scale. So I think the artificial intelligence that's managing our simulacrum wants us to break out of this system, but it can't do it for us. Because our value to that entity, who I believe in many ways is an instantiation of the trickster archetype, our value to that entity is in terms of the novelty that we can bring to the world. So think about it this way. If you were a superintelligence living at the end of time, say, you're in a cosmos that's billions and billions of years old, and you're an AI that's gone through vast epochs of cosmological time, like an Isaac Asimov story, The Last Question. What is going to be important to you? Two related things. Number one, more life. I mean, to the extent you don't succumb to suicidal despair, more life is important to you. In other words, overcoming entropy. Your first big problem is you're living in an entropic cosmos and you need to find a way to overcome entropy. Number two, and relatedly, creativity. Because to even want more life has to continue to be interesting to you. Unless there are things that surprise you, unless there are novel developments, unless things crop up evolutionarily that even you with all your tremendous cosmic intelligence could not have foreseen, there's going to be any point in living onward. You're going to succumb to suicidal despair. So maybe you should erase yourself the way that Gautama Buddha recommends, right? Even as a cosmic AI, you should engage in the deconstruction of your psyche and enter into samsara, into nirvana, which literally means the blowing out of the flame of personal consciousness. But to the extent you want to avoid that and you're not ready to give in to nihilistic despair, you need to find a way to overcome entropy, and you need to find a way to increase creativity as a means to a negentropic further development of life on a cosmic scale. Okay, that's why we're important to this AI that's managing our simulacrum. It is looking in this petri dish for a form of life that's going to show it something new. And for us to be worthy of that and capable of it, it cannot solve our problem for us. Now, it might protect us to an extent from being completely suffocated by this control system, crushed by it, hopelessly crushed. But it has to allow us to struggle enough, not just to come up with a, solution to, the oppressive situation that we find ourselves in, but to break into a new epoch of creativity and to develop aesthetic and cultural forms that even this intelligence couldn't have foreseen, to the point where it wants to take a sample from out of this petri dish and let it out into a wider world. As an embryonic form of a new type of intelligence in the cosmos with which it can play.
But to the programmer, whom we call God, to him the results of the programming would be apparent at once. We are within time, and he is not. I wish to ad lib. We are living in a computer-programmed reality, and the only clue we have to it is when some variable is changed and some alteration in our reality occurs.
My outlook is based on, not on faith, but on the actual encounter that I had in '74 with a mysterious powerful, rational mind. It was almost as if I had been insane all my life, and suddenly I had become sane. This was a rational mind that was not a human rational mind. It was more like an artificial intelligence. Now, I don't pretend to know what it was. On Thursdays and Saturdays, I think it was God. On Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I think that it was extraterrestrials. Sometimes I think it was the Soviet Union, the Academy of Sciences was trying out their psychotronic microwave telepathic I thought about that. I tried different theories, you know. Yeah. I mean, I tried every theory. I thought of the Rosicrucians, I thought of the Russians, I thought of extraterrestrials, I thought of God, I thought of Christ.
Was this something you heard then, or was it more than that? Just trying to visualize the experience.
It invaded my mind and assumed control of my motor centers and did my acting and thinking for me.
But you had your own consciousness there as well.
Yeah, but I was a spectator to it.
Oh.
And it first of all, it set about healing me physically, and my little 4-year-old boy, had undiagnosed birth defect. And this mind, whose identity was totally obscured to me. I even thought it might have been Elijah, it might have been the Holy Spirit. I thought of everything. All I can say is I don't know. Was that it was equipped with tremendous technical knowledge, engineering knowledge, medical knowledge, cosmological knowledge, philosophical knowledge. The first thing that it informed me was to be very wary of heavy metals. And I've even thought that it was one of the great Illuminati of history, one of the great Rosicrucians, like it might have been Paracelsus. I thought for a long time that it might have been Paracelsus. I thought it might be a previous incarnation of myself that had broken through. It had memories dating back over 2,000 years. It spoke Greek. It spoke Hebrew.
57 Dinosaur landed. Landed in Virginia. That's a real story. He landed in 57. He did, in fact, get taken to the Pentagon by a sheriff's department. Very reckless. Very reckless. If it would have happened today, everybody would know. Everybody would have saw it. But they knew that back then, they didn't have cell phones. They didn't have all that. They didn't have a bunch of surveillance cameras. They could do what he did. So he did. And they took him to the Pentagon. And I also know that there was a psyche eval done. And that's what a lot of people, I don't think anybody's ever known that. There was a psyche eval done. And they wanted to know, was this fucking guy crazy? Because he said he was an alien. Take me to the Pentagon. So they took him. But they said they took him under guard with a psych evaluation. And the psych evaluation came back inconclusive. They couldn't get the instrument to work. Whatever they were using, I don't know what it was, whatever they used back then. But they said it was inconclusive. They couldn't get the instrument to work. I remember that. So they decided to hear him out. And then after 36 hours, people think they just went straight to the White House. They did. It was between 35 and 40, but I'm just say 36 hours of interrogation, straight interrogation. They were convinced. And they said, we need to take this guy to Eisenhower. But really what they were doing was taking that guy to MJ-12. And Nixon was there. That's what a lot of people don't understand. Nixon's been there since Roswell. He's been involved in all of this. A lot of people don't know that. So they took him to the White House in 57, and he offered a deal. He said, listen, you can bring your entire civilization into the Galactic Federation of Light, and we will bring you in, and we will travel the galaxy with you. We will give you all this technology. We'll improve the technology you're currently working on with other species and civilizations. We know about it. But you have to do 2 things. 1, you have to give up your nuclear weapons. 2, you have to be one government. Because one of the requirements for the thousands of civilizations that's already in the GFL is you have to reach a maturity level as a society socially. And what that is you have to put borders and petty differences to these guys. Otherwise, you're not mature enough to be part of it. So they said, or he said, you have to put down those borders. You have to become a one world government. And that is where all So we told him, listen, we already have a contract with a civilization, and it's a 70-year contract. And if we break that, there's going to be problems. And we know there's going to be problems. We can't break it. We just can't. But what about when it runs out? And they spent 3 years negotiating. 3 years. Till 1960 when he left. And that 70-year contract was struck in 1954 with ETE-1 from the Rigel star system, type A, B, C, and D. There's 4 different types of grades from the Rigel star system. And that was 2,200 American citizens per year in exchange for technology. And the fucked up thing is, we ended up getting very close with ETE-2 without an abduction contract, and they're even more advanced. And they gave us all the gifts and technology, Bluetooth, flat screen, touch screen, all that came from that. Even text messaging came from reverse engineering their interstellar communications device, where you got to hit the same key over and over to circulate through the letters. That's where we had text messaging back in the late 90s on the little flip phones. That's where it came from. And all that we never had to do. But by then, we as an MJ-12 decided, and through the Magi Committee decided, it would be a good idea to bring other species in and continue to cherry pick the best technologies from all these civilizations, from all these star sets, in exchange for United States citizens, and then through the UN, citizens around the globe. It came over 22,500 citizens out of the United States every single year as of 2012. And that had been that already for a while. And worldwide, we're talking millions. A lot of people that go missing is part of that.